Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here today with Daniel Sanders, a systems engineer with Verizon. I'm really happy to have him here today. He's going to tell us a little bit about what a systems engineer does, and what it's like and how you might get into that field if that's something you're interested in. Thanks for being with us here today, Daniel.
Yeah, happy to join you.
Awesome.
So I'm a systems engineer for Verizon. First off, I don't work in the Verizon stores. I don't work on cell towers or cell phones or anything like that. I work a desk job. I always get that question right off the bat. Systems engineer is my official title, but kind of what I do falls into a bunch of names, and different companies call it different things. Sometimes it's systems administrator, sysadmin. Google likes to call their people site reliability engineers. So companies just make
Fancy.
up new terms for what we do. But basically what I do is I'm not a coder. So that's kind of the biggest thing in tech. Everyone thinks code, you write code, you're a developer. That's not what I do. So if you kind of know brief outline of kind of how the internet works, every app or website that you visit, is code written by somebody. That's what the coder does. But when you launch it, it's not running on your phone or anything. It's not like right in front of you. So it's running somewhere out on the internet on a thing called a server, which is just a super powered computer. And basically my job is to just support and maintain all these servers.
Okay.
So,
So are you dealing with like the hardware of the servers, or like from a more like remote kind of like organizing the information going through them?
it's all remote. So
Okay.
I don't like touch a physical box. I've never touched a physical server, never been in any of them. So they all run in these things called data centers. So we have like 2 or 3 big ones across the US, and there's thousands of servers in a data center. And so basically our job is anything from, so I should say every server, like a computer, runs an operating system, just like your Windows computer or your Mac computer. It runs something, and it's usually Unix or Linux is what the common OSs are. And so basically we just support those OSs essentially. So anything from installing new server operating systems, we configure them, we troubleshoot them. And then we work very closely with those standard coders, developers that you hear who write the code, because we work hand in hand with them every day to make sure their code runs the way they want it to run on our systems.
Okay. And so does a company like Verizon have their own dedicated servers?
Yeah, so that's
Okay.
actually so when you get to big companies, we run our own data centers. So we have, like I said, 3 or 4 big ones, a couple more smaller ones. And like I said, they're like the size of 10,000, 20,000 square feet, massive complexes, basically. So we do run our own because we're a big company. But on the other hand, a lot of companies don't. If you know anything about kind of how Amazon really makes their money, beyond just selling you stuff, they run this thing called Amazon Web Services. And they basically run their own data centers, and they'll rent you space on their servers to use for your application or to do your thing. So a lot of smaller companies run off of these, what they call the cloud. But for Verizon, because we're so big, we run all of our stuff on our own systems.
And so if you were like a small company, would you need a systems admin if you didn't have your own servers? You still would.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the thing is every company, if anything, any company that has a website or any code or anything that runs, it has to run off a server.
Okay.
So whether you have a small-time, part-time sysadmin or something that runs, a tiny little box on Amazon Web Services, or, you actually physically set up servers in your like closet or something in your office, which is what a lot of medium businesses will do. Almost every company has somebody who serves this role. Whether it's dedicated to being a sysadmin or a systems engineer, that's up to the size of the company. But everybody has one.
Okay, gotcha. So you could be a systems engineer for like a big multinational corporation and deal with like huge server farms, or you could work for like a little company and deal with like a single dedicated, or like a server you rent from somebody or something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Or a lot of times, if you're a smaller company, you'll get these things called kind of full stack developers, and that just means full stack means they write the code, but they also deal with the sysadmin piece and running the server piece. So they you kind of can absorb a role into one person sometimes if you're in a small company.
Got it. So if your project's small enough where one person can do all of those things.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But if you're working for like Verizon, that job would be I'm assuming there's like multiple people that do what you do.
Yeah, so I'm on a team, and so my team alone is about 25,
Okay.
and we
Wow.
support about 6,000 servers, just
Oh, wow.
us. And that's just the operating system that I support. So there's other teams about similar size, and together we have something like 20 to 30,000 servers
Wow.
for the
Okay.
company.
So wow. So this is like a huge, and Verizon's a big company. So
Of
I
course.
mean, that makes sense. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Interesting.
So
And
I'll
then,
just say real quick, like, so
yeah.
just what my team, what kind of, to connect it to what you would know for Verizon. So
Hmm.
all the applications that run on our systems that we support, that would be like myverizon.com, the website you go to log into for Verizon, or the app that you run on your phone that, the My Verizon app that connects to you can edit your settings for your
Hmm.
Verizon plan, all that stuff, along with everything that runs in the store. When you check out at that store and buy your phone, everything that runs there that connects back to our systems, that's
Okay.
all running on the systems we support.
Okay, cool. So you're on that, like, kind of making sure all that stuff flows.
Yep.
And
Make
okay,
sure.
from it. Okay, cool. Awesome. And then, so what does that look like on a day to day when you like wake up in the morning and get working? Like, what do you
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, so I would say about 50% of the time is fixing problems. So either
Okay.
a ticket comes in that says, something's wrong here, something's not running right, or this server is running. I don't know. A common one is like the server is running high CPU usage or something. It's working too hard, or this server crashed. I mean, that's like the big scenario, right?
Hmm.
We do work on like an on-call rotation, so there are like severe incidents that can, if you're on call, you'll get paged. You have to jump on a call with every bunch of people and troubleshoot an issue. So that's a part of the job.
Okay.
Day to day, yeah, about 50% is kind of troubleshooting things that people submit as this is a problem or this is a request that we need. The other 50% is kind of like new projects and directions the company wants to go. So whether that's upgrading a bunch, like one application is like, hey, we're running out of space, or we just need a new environment or something. So we're building out new things for people, setting them up. That's kind of like the future part of the job,
Right.
and a lot of it comes down to like design. A lot goes into how you configure servers, and the network piece that comes into them, the storage, the things that you go like to tie into servers. A lot of that is there's an architecture role that goes into making them work the way that application needs to have them work.
And so is that like, are you given like, so if you're like developing a new thing, are you working with a team of people, or does somebody give you like one piece and say, you do this thing, go?
It
Or
depends.
both?
For the most part, where I'm at now in my role, I will get handed a project and they will say, take this, run this, here's the requirements that this team wants, work with them and figure it out, come up
Make
with
this
a
happen.
solution,
Okay.
make it happen, and there's a lot of back and forth, you communicate. Like I said, we work hand in hand with the application teams. They're partners for us.
Mhm.
So, we're always talking with them to kind of come up with a strategy.
Word. Awesome. Okay, these next two questions, I'll give them both to you, and you can take them in whatever order you
Sure.
want. First, within your job, what's your favorite thing about your job? And then what's the thing that kind of makes you pull your hair out a little bit?
So probably my favorite thing is just the general problem solving. I like that architecture role. So when you're handed a problem without, you have guidelines, right? There's certain things you stay within the lines, but you pretty much have freedom to come up with a solution that is best. And you just work through that, and, take input from people and problem solve. And that's kind of the heart of most tech jobs is problem solving at the end of the day.
Right.
And so there's a little bit, while I'm not a true developer, there's some programming stuff I can do, like scripting is a big one. So they're like mini programs that help you achieve your job. So if there's something that, you do manually 3 or 4 times, a lot of it, well, now I write a little script for it and that takes care of it for me. So the more you automate pieces of your job, the easier your job gets. So that's the big trend. So that's the other part of the job that's fun is when I hit a problem that's just annoying and I do it a lot or something just bothers me, you
You
can come
can,
up with a quick little
oh, that's
solution
cool.
that, saves you time and effort later.
And then I guess too, what does that mean? The longer you do this job, the more quick fixes you have.
You can, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, okay, that's cool.
Yep. And you spread it around, you always share it. Your team can benefit from things you
Hmm.
do, and then they'll come up with solutions for other things. Nobody's an expert.
On
So,
everything. Yeah. We're
yep.
cool. And then what's challenging?
Yeah. I would probably say personally, the most challenging thing for me comes from working at a large company. So if in tech, everybody hears, the Googles and the Facebooks and
Hmm.
Microsoft and all the big tech companies, and they're the face of the company of tech, and that's what people think when they think computer science and technology. And there's all these other little companies that are fantastic and you can do the same thing there, and there's pros and cons to both. So a challenge for working in a large company is sometimes there is bureaucracy. There's things that, there's executive chains, and somebody tells you what to do sometimes, and you might not like it and you might disagree, and you just have to work through that. And so, and at a big company, that chain goes many layers higher than at a small company. So you don't have visibility into, that president that's 5 levels up from you,
Hmm.
and decisions are made that trickle down and impact you that you may or may not agree with. So I would say the most challenging thing is just working through that. You learn how to work within that system and
Hmm.
how to, still accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Word. Awesome. And then okay, this question doesn't really mesh with that question at all. But can you
That's
tell us a
fine.
little bit about like how you? I meant to ask this question earlier, but I forgot. So whatever, we'll just drop it in now. Can you tell
Yeah.
us like how you got here? Like just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like your educational path. Like I assume you went to high school at some point,
Yep.
and
Yep. I
then
did.
sort of what happens from there.
Yeah. So I did go to high school. I also went to college. So I have a computer science degree.
Okay.
That is kind of the basis of all tech jobs. You start with computer science. It's kind of the heart of it. I will say I went to probably the smallest, most unimportant school ever, and I still got into tech. So let's just say that, you
It
don't have to
doesn't.
go to Stanford and
Okay.
MIT to get into tech. I went
You
to a
just got to
small
be
school.
good at it. Yeah.
It had a fantastic computer science program, so I knew that, and I did. I got a great education from it, but just know that, you don't have to go to the Stanfords just
Mhm.
to get into tech. So then from there, the way I actually got connected to Verizon, after my junior year, where most people do an internship, that's most programs require some form of that when you're in computer
Mhm.
science, because you really can't, in tech, you can't learn 90% of stuff in a classroom, right? They give you the foundation, and then when you're out doing a job, that's how you learn. So I got an internship with Verizon kind of by a fluke. Just someone I knew from high school had a dad who worked at Verizon, and they had an internship program, and he kind of plugged
Used
me
to know
into it,
people.
and I got the internship for that summer, and kind of that's where it went. So they offered me a full-time job when I graduated based off that internship in the same role that I was an intern for, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes you get an internship and then, you find out you like, love, hate, it doesn't matter. Maybe you want to go to a
Right.
different company. That can happen. You don't have to always end up in the same same role you intern for. But I did. So I started just in that same job. And I've been there now, let's see, what is it? Probably like six years.
Okay.
So time flies. Yeah.
So you've really just done the same thing. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
so the role has changed, but the position I've said the same title. I will say, so kind of a little background. So when you get a computer science degree, for the most part, it's most of the time very coding and development heavy. And when I was in college, that's pretty much all I did. So I wanted to actually, coming out of college, I wanted to do web development and coding for web applications.
Mhm.
And that's all I had done. And I had done one internship before doing that, and I really loved it, and I was set on that. Well, the internship at Verizon and my job now is actually radically different from everything I did in college.
Mhm.
You don't really simulate an environment with servers and a data center and stuff in a college environment. There's not, it
Right.
doesn't exist. So
There isn't one.
at
Yeah.
most, the prof is handing you, they have servers, every college has servers, and they're like, hey, we set this up for you, do your coding on it.
Mhm.
That's kind of the extent of what most colleges cover for my job now. So it was a lot of learning on the job, and I really started from zero and kind of learned as I went and kind of faked it till you make it, you know.
But it worked.
It worked.
You're
Yeah.
here now. Yeah.
Yep. And a lot of work outside of work, you know, learning
Mhm.
things on your own, you know, playing around with it. I mean, tech really is learned by doing, and so
Yeah.
you kind of just got to play with something until you know, learn it.
Awesome. And then last question, do you have any advice for young people? Kind of in that same vein, do you have any advice for like young people, especially high schoolers who might be interested in careers in tech?
Sure. So it can seem like an overwhelming field. I know that it's kind of a big, like I said, there's a big face of, you know, go out and join Google, right? And
Yeah.
some people do that. I mean, I have friends who went to work for Google and loved it, but just know that there's a lot more in tech than the face of it at first. I would say that the most important way to get into it is kind of find a problem that affects you personally, that annoys you, that bothers
Mm-hmm.
you, some problem, and find a solution for it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say I didn't code in high school. I didn't start anything in tech really until I went to college. But you can start anytime in high school. You know, find a problem. Most people recommend starting with coding in some capacity. You know, pick a easy language, a simple language, learn it, kind of learn the ins and outs of how coding development languages work, and then solve a problem that annoys you or bothers you. And then just go from there. And I would say kind of the overarching skill that you really need to know is just, you know, how to learn to troubleshoot and learn new stuff as you go. Because like I said earlier, nobody is an expert in everything in tech. It's impossible. Right. You might start in one tiny little job doing one thing, and then you might want to do that same job at another company, and they might use completely different technology from what you were using.
Right.
And you have to go with it. And really what people are looking for in tech is the ability to learn and acquire new skills and just learn as you go. That's kind of the big thing that most employers are going to be looking for.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Thanks for being with us here today. We really appreciate it. Guys, if you have any questions for Daniel, feel free to drop them into the comments, and I'll shoot them on to him, or you can contact me directly, and I'm happy to forward them on to him. Thanks for being with us.